Sorry that it's been a while, but I'm back with another episode of Inside the Spectacle with me as your host, Spectre. In the last few episodes, we've been slowly getting a grip on growing our sense as a player, and we'll be continuing that today by talking about awareness. Admittedly, I had put off this episode for a while because it is one of the harder things to explain, because it's one of those things I just learned as I kept playing. It wasn't actively taught to me or pointed out by a better player. I've held off awareness this long because we'll need previous lessons to talk about this accurately. So if you haven't seen the first 2 episodes of it might help to do a little catch-up. Awareness in a competitive game can be defined as simply being aware of your surroundings, because there's a lot to be aware of. Awareness can vary from weapon to weapon. For instance, my awareness for long-range weapons is one of my biggest strong suits that leads to my good positioning, as it's something I've done for a long time. However, my short-range shooter awareness still needs work, as I'm not used to seeing and thinking of what I need to be aware of. I'll do my best to look at both perspectives today, so that we can get examples of both proper awareness and awareness that still needs some work, even from a seasoned player like myself. One of the major things in awareness is map awareness. For an example, I've got us here on Walleye playing Charger. We're going to start off by going to the snipe grate here. Starting off, where can someone attack us? From the left, depending on the mode, someone could climb up the block and catch us from unaware from the side. See that back alley behind us? If we don't pay attention, someone could sneak around and kill us in our blind spot. There's also the more obvious way that in front of us, someone with equal or greater range could kill us, or a short-range weapon could run up on us as well. See where I'm going with this? Let's move to another spot and act like we're pushing the tower forward into enemy territory. From our left, someone could come down this left hallway here and catch us by surprise. To our right, people won't really be focusing on us in particular, depending on how far the tower has been pushed forward. Most likely their goal is to stop the tower first. Moreover, to our right, people do like to try to flank around, though it's kinda hard to in a map like Walleye where the spawn is straight ahead. Either way, it's still good to account for that one Luna that was sharking, another word for hiding in some random puddle of ink. To summarize what I was pointing out, I was talking about recognizing where your enemies can attack and come at you from. Knowing what ways someone can flank you from, sneak around you, and get the jump on you is key to having good map awareness. It's something you should always keep in the back of your mind. To hit this home, let's look at a Rainmaker Twins session I have on Walleye. At the start of the match, I like to start off on the grate. You see I don't bother looking left, as some people usually aren't so cheeky to go straight for the elbow and ignore the objective, but it's still something I keep in the back of my mind. 3 players go down and my teammate Law cleans up the last, so I'm aware of the fact that right now, no one is near me and we have the objective. Since Walleye is so narrow, I can simply stingray forward to help get kills for my team so that we can keep pushing the Rainmaker. I'm also positioned just far back enough so that if anyone died a quick death, they'll be safe jumping back in at that current point in time. Here, we're being risky. My last teammate just died and I'm alone and the enemy team is coming back. They could come from either my left or my right. I decide to take out the Charger and using our game sense, decide it's best to retreat and wait for backup. While you may not realize it, especially if you're a heavy Stingray user, you have been working on your awareness. Most Stingray users know to back up, using their sense of awareness to know that if they use it in the middle of the map where just anyone can get to them, they'll die, since it's not a special you can just swap people away like flies. Even though my eyes are on the Rainmaker, I'm still keeping an eye out for that left hallway, where the Brella just came down. Since I was positioned more toward the middle of the map, I prioritized people in front of me over people coming down that hallway. There's plenty of ink on the ground to get away in. If I was on the left, however, I would have to keep a closer eye on the hallway, as it would be very easy for someone to kill me if I miss. This is why I wanted to talk about positioning and game sense before talking about awareness. Even if you don't realize it, every move a high-level player makes has a reason, tying back into their game sense, positioning, and awareness of the match. Looking for what's going on in the match, how much time you have, where the objective is, what the score is a part of game sense. Then, you want to position yourself accordingly to what's going on in the match, to defend the objective or to get ready for a push. You then want to be aware, knowing where people are going to come at you from. Granted, there are also just some times where people might slip by, and there is only so much you can do. For instance, playing a solo queue match in its own way is great for thinking critically about awareness. In solo, people are able to exploit the fact teammates can't communicate. allowing that one to detect to slip by and get behind them. In a team setting, you might be able to catch a warning from a teammate who is coming from somewhere else and sees that blaster trying to flank you. From a long-range perspective, sometimes I even run myself through a small checklist and keep an eye on a particular blind spot where I know people like to sneak up on me if it means they can take me out. You can only focus on one thing at a time, but keeping other points in both your mental and physical periphery keeps you alive. Let's switch gears and look at a match where I use NZAP, the short-range shooter. My sense of awareness for short range isn't as fine-tuned as it is for long range, so there's still a lot for me to learn. Camp Triggerfish is a map where splitting into groups of 2 on each side can be really strong. I'm aware that going in on this side, I'm at a slight disadvantage since the enemy has the high ground and they can see me coming and I can't see them, as you can see by this octopus hiding and catching me unaware. Next time, I need to throw a bomb up there to push anyone who could be there back. On respawn, I check the map and my friend is looking safe, plus he's umbrella, so he could potentially protect my jump. Even jumping, I'm thinking of where someone could get me, as seen as I look straight at the dualies on the wall above me. My teammate lets me know he's gone down and that I'm alone now. I don't fall back just because I'm by myself, but I'm also aware that since no one is watching my back, someone could come over the wall and kill me from behind. The either just happens to be there desperately trying to ink the zone, so I try to get him down, but I'm still thinking about that left mainway in front of me since enemies are respawning. As my teammate comes back in, I still keep an eye on that back wall, so I leave the front to the umbrella to while I watch our backs. Remember, in modes like solo queue and twins, there are just some things you won't see coming and situations beyond your control. There wasn't really any way I could have known 3 people were coming to their zone given the circumstances. It happens. Coming back, jumping over the rail, I'm looking for people who are hiding under it, and I'm already pre-firing to get anyone to back off. As you move around the map and just play the game in general, you should start tucking away your experiences, your successes, and your failures. Remember those times that blaster was hiding around the corner and you just ran through thinking no one was there and he splatted you? Think back on that time you hid really well and were able to dive on someone below you and splat them with your roller because you saw them coming. These are concepts we will expand on in the future, but the next episode will focus on acknowledging your mistakes in particular. When you learn from your mistakes, you become more aware of what's going on around you and slowly make your way to becoming a better player. Wrapping this episode up, let's have a 3-point review. First, think about where people can approach you from. Map knowledge is very important to keeping you alive and thinking about your advantages and disadvantages to other players. Next, sense what's going on in the game currently. Use your game sense to keep track of the objective, your teammates, the time, the score. It sounds like a lot, but it'll become subconscious with time. Finally, position yourself accordingly. If you know where someone can come at you from, make sure to position yourself with the best possible advantage so that you can be aware of where people will approach you so that you can come out on top. One last bit I'd like to give is return a little shout out to Gingerbread Man's channel where he's also doing a series on competitive play. If you'd like another angle or more tips on how to get better, you can head on over to his channel and watch his series Food for Thought. In the meantime and in between time, this has been your girl Spectre, and I will see y'all in the next episode.